Howdy folks, LP Guru here, signing in for Let's Play Final Fantasy 1, Episode 9. And yes, after reviewing the previous episode and recording, I was able to determine that nothing out of the ordinary had actually happened, which was super weird, and that the recording was actually 100% fine. Go figure. But I am thankful for that at the same time. I'm glad there was nothing wrong with it. I've come back to town really quick because I cannot remember if any of the future bosses in the very near future are capable of inflicting mute or silence status, so I'm going ahead and adding a Vox to our spell collection just to be safe. And I may do something similar for Vivi. I'm going to double check. I know that I have haste and muddle. Oh yeah, I'll hold off on the other two. Alright, here we go. It's time to take on the Marsh Cave's boss fight. No guarantee how things will end up playing out. But hopefully we will survive the encounter. Every character will survive the encounter, I will add. They hit hard and are capable of, if I'm remembering correct, they're capable of inflicting both status elements and spell-based status elements. I think slow is one of them, and I think confuse is too, if I'm remembering correct. So yes, this will be the very first boss fight of the game that will have multiple layers to it. It won't be as simple as past boss fights where it's just been the boss attacking the party with normal physical attacks. It will be a combination of pretty much almost everything that we have been able to dish out to the enemies with different spells and everything. That whole element is about to be added into the mix. So this is one of the main reasons why I have been pushing to be at least level 15 before taking this boss fight on. And even then, even then, there's no guarantees. I love getting stuck on natural terrain and then a random encounter ensuing as soon as I free myself. That's always nice. But since 100% of this dungeon has now been explored, well, with the exception of the rooms that require the mystic key to unlock, of course. So I would say, what, 90%, 95%? We are ready to directly take on the boss. I want to say there is something new in this enemy formation, but I honestly do not recognize it right off. It may be the Black Widow. But even if it was the case, they're all dead. Nothing a little fire 2 can't incinerate. To ash and into oblivion. I know, Vivi, I need you to make sure to cast Fire 2. Everyone else is okay to physically attack, but you need to cast Fire 2, please. Now I'm just having to remember where the exact room is. Alright, here we go. Alright. Like I stated in the previous episode, I can't remember if there is a trigger point on the tile right in front of us, so as soon as I step on it, the boss fight could begin, or if it's as soon as I open the chest. But we are about to find out right now. And it's very, very critical to get haste and then still put on. As you can see, haste automatically, it doubles. Even though in the description it doesn't say that it doubles, the attack frequency, it pretty much does. They still hit hard. I'm very surprised that none of them had cast any spells. I have one more thing to mention. That fight looked extremely easy just then, and it was. But one thing that I failed to mention beforehand, and I will say it right after we obtain the crown. There are different Pisco demons that could be encountered. I believe that what we just encountered was the lowest amount. So 3. And I think the max amount is 9. And that kind of fight is brutal because, well, self-explanatory. It's very chaotic then, and it can very easily, very, very easily get out of hand and quick. It's a very nice way to gain some good experience, but it's also a risky way. And you can continue to gain experience because it's one of the few, and it may be the only boss fight in the game, I'm not sure, but if I stepped back on that tile, it would trigger another fight. At that point, it's just considered a random encounter, but they're still just as dangerous as before, and there's no guarantee that it would only be 3. It could be at least 3, it could be the max of 9. So to be completely safe, we're not going to push our luck, and instead we're gonna head back to town because this is the first of 2 boss fights that will be encountered in this episode, and the second boss fight always makes this previous one look like child's play. There's even more, if you can imagine. Well, you probably can because that showcase was kind of a poor display. But this upcoming boss fight, there's a lot more variety, a lot more spells, and a lot more deadly spells being cast at that. And I always hate talking a certain moment in a video game up. It's not that I intentionally hype the moment up, but sometimes I feel like certain moments are hyped up and the expectation ends up being greater than what is experienced in the game, and I really do hate that because right now everyone simply has my word to take on what I'm about to say. I have no way of actually proving this, but there have been plenty of times in the past where I have had a game over, been completely wiped out from that boss fight, and have had a game over. And I've even been this level 15, level 16, where we are right now, level 16 of course. And I hate that. It's like I think I mentioned this in a different project. I can't remember which one now, but it's almost like the video game knows that it's being recorded, so it decides to not show out. It decides to hold back instead of showing out. That's like, really? The one time that I've played whatever game And out of all the different times that I have experienced super unfair, super crazy factors in the game, but the one time you, game, you decide to behave, be on your best behavior and be like, nothing to see here, I'm completely friendly. That one time is, when I'm recording. Really? Really? So, yes, we are heading back to town. Before we take the crown to, I'm guessing the guy in the abandoned castle was at one point in the past a king. Doesn't really, he looks the part, like he's, dressed for the part, but never really, nothing ever really went into those details to let you know, so, but, obviously there's something, there's got to be some kind of magical attribute, or special attribute about this crown that's going to restore things. But as I've said earlier, I don't want to push my luck. That was hands down one of the easiest experiences I have ever had in the Pisco Demon boss fight. So I don't want to push my luck. Definitely want to save my progress. Don't want to have to relive that and then, maybe, just maybe, run into 9 of them. And then, much to everyone's amusement, be horrifically wiped out and it all be recorded. But hey, whatever it takes for a little bit of entertainment, right? And at this point, there's a no point to not spend a little bit of magic, since we're about to be completely recovering our hit points and magic points. Yet another standard fight. And even the ogre chieftains are looking pretty tame now. Especially because of some of the enemies encountered in the Marsh Cave dungeon. Yes, I would like to save. And I would also like to update both, just to be safe. Alright, so now that we've rested up and saved our progress, we are ready to hand deliver the crown to this dude. And see what story elements lie on the very fast approaching future and horizon. And as is the case for pretty much every, well, alrighty then. It's still nice that, you know, I gave 1 experience even though it ran away. No money though. But as is the case with any moment in any given RPG or even action adventure games, it seems like when you're finally heading towards a story moment, it seems like anything and everything starts to get in your way and make it take longer, which is what's happening right now. Like, it may just be me, but it seems like the random encounter rate has been toggled up a little bit, but again, may just be me. May all simply be in my head and psychological. You gotta love it, I really. Each and every one I miss, but then the very last one makes contact and inflicts poison. What are the odds? Oh, and something else that I remember from the previous episode. I had gotten distracted by encountering another room that already had a, pre-opened chest, because it was a mirrored room. But I was making some kind of comment about the Temple of Chaos. And the whole point with that, I'll try to finish my thought from that, but that dungeon teaches and also taught, this now in the past, a lot of different lessons. The very first of which is what I've said before about starting simple, about how you don't want to delve too deep into any given dungeon upon first visiting. So that was the entire point of mentioning the Temple of Chaos. you look at that? Surprise! And not in a good way. Oh, well, look, that's an added bonus. Seems like he has Matoya's crystal eye in his possession. So this could definitely be a 2-for-1 kind of deal. Take this monstrosity down. And well, you know, we will take care of the dark elf threat. And retrieve the crystal eye for Matoya. He already has shield on it. Come on now, cursor. Cursor, pay attention. Alright, good. So far everything has missed. And I'm hoping that will remain the case, because Reaper, that was cast at the very beginning. Oh wow, okay, that was a very huge shock. Unless I dealt some critical damage at some point and just missed it. I really thought Astos had a lot more health than that, but I'm not complaining because that was definitely a close call. Reaper is the first spell that is capable of knocking out a character right away. Doesn't matter how many hit points they have. It is an instant KO kind of spell, and normally it has a very, very high success rate. So I am very glad that it missed, because, well, aside from the obvious reasons, but one of the main reasons being the character that was targeted, had our warrior been taken out, that would have been a near impossible fight. And I do think our warrior got a critical hit in. And then of course haste sealed the deal. But it's just, I don't even know how to really chalk that boss fight. You know, what to chalk it up to. I'm literally sitting here stunned. Not gonna say in stunned silence, because I'm saying plenty, but man, yet again, it's another boss fight that was super tame. Now thankfully, Thankfully he did cast Reaper. He did, and I think Slow too. Reaper obviously being the most concerning of the two spells. So thankfully he at least attempted something. But still, I'm like, really? All over again. But no, that boss fight is all about timing, and it has nothing to do with the player's timing. It has all to do with however the game decides to behave. I've had it where Slow 2 and a few other different types of spells have been cast first, and Reaper was saved, towards the end of the fight, or later in the fight. And I think that's actually the worst way to experience things, because if Slow 2 is successfully cast on your characters, as you know, it slows the afflicted target down, reducing their actions. So not only can you not take an action as frequently as normal, but for characters such as the warrior and the monk, their overall hit count is reduced to 1. So right now, I know that the warrior's hit count is 3, and I'm not sure about the monk's. I know his is definitely 2, but I'm not sure if it's 3 as well. But that hurts, because you deal less damage. And then, to make matters even worse, if everyone has been afflicted by Slow, you're being affected in the ways previously described, you're not dishing out the kind of damage that needs to be done to end that boss fight as fast as it needs to be ended. And then Astos has a heyday picking each character off one by one with Reaper. It almost seems to be that if a character is under the effects of Slow 2, that almost seems to guarantee that Reaper has a 100% success chance, and that may actually be the requirement. Because now that I think back on past playthroughs, it seems like most of the time the character that was KO'd by Reaper was also suffering from the slow status. I don't think I've ever made that connection before now. That's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting chained programming effects. Because something like that isn't really experienced until, or at least I didn't think it was experienced until Final Fantasy II. But apparently it exists in the original Final Fantasy as well. Who knew? It's a really cool discovery though. Now that we have taken care of the Pisco demons, reclaimed the crown, which we were duped into returning to the king of the Dark Elves, Astos himself, who we did not know was that person. So obviously Astos must have, I don't know, he must have either possessed whoever that person was, or was using powerful magic to just, conjure up a different physical form. But now that Astos has been taken care of, it's time to return the crystal eye to Matoya. I'm sorry, it's in the key items area. So where is it? It's right here. But first, I'm gonna go back to the castle really quick. Oh, I forgot you can only enter from the south. You can't go from the sides or up top. But I want to say that this individual has something. Well, he still says the same thing, so never mind. Never mind. So yeah, we're gonna go pay Matoya a visit and return her wrongfully stolen crystal eye to her. First, we're going to burn through any enemies that are foolish enough to get in our way. Now everything through here just seems so simple. It seems like a lifetime ago coming through here. But you can also, and this is something I was going to say before it left my mind, but you can always tell when it's time to leave an area simply based on the experience that you are receiving being nowhere near what you need to level up. And that's also a really great indicator that you are ready to take on whatever the next boss may be. This game doesn't give a lot of hints. Every now and then there may be something that's, in your face, obvious. But for the most part, it's very subtle. But, as just stated, taking forever to level up meaning the amount of experience you are receiving is so insignificant compared to what you need to level up. That's your indicator. So always pay attention to that. Okay, and this, the Jolt tonic, is what is needed to wake the elf prince from his cursed slumber. And you know, one thing that I always found a bit odd, and I really am trying not to be too critical of anything, because I understand this game came out originally back in the 80s in Japan, 90 or early 90s here in the United States. So I really am trying not to be overly critical, but especially by today's standards, when you think about it, if Astos created a curse that cursed the elf prince into an endless slumber, the natural laws and properties and attributes and what have you would dictate that since Astos created the curse, Astos is like his very being, the very fact that he continues to draw breath and live. Of course, all this is in the past tense now, but the very fact that he continues to live is what holds the curse in place. So what I've always found a bit odd is, you know, if you're playing by the rules and laws and everything that other sources outside of this video game created, I'm not sure what people in real life, you know, created all these fictional, you know, rules and everything, but if you're going to operate in this realm of creation, you know, wouldn't you think that once Astos has been defeated, once he is dead, that the curse he put in place would also cease to exist? Just something to think about. Now, it would be a different story if, you know, Astos himself did not create the curse, but it's simply, you know, that type of curse is simply known, like, you know, knowledge and lore that, you know, certain spellcasters can you know, utilize, and that would be different, because Astos himself didn't actually create the curse, so it doesn't really matter. You know, he himself is not what is holding the curse in place. But as you can tell, I seem to be I seem to be going in circles right now. But it's always been a very interesting and thought-provoking concept to me. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock this game at all. At all. It's just an observation that I have made at some point in the past, and it always, resurfaces whenever I play this game and get to this particular point in the story. And surprise, surprise. The Elf Prince has always been the one who has had the mystic key in his possession. So now that he has passed the mystic key onto us, we are able to start making use of it. And the rooms that were once locked by the mystic key are now accessible. Alright, so if I'm not mistaken, I know that the mithril hammer goes to our white mage, and the bronze gloves. Okay, yeah, I think it's just to the warrior. And right now, having to decide on where all I'm going to travel to. Because there's a few rooms at the bottom level of the Marsh Cave, and there's 2 rooms in the Temple of Chaos. And we're almost at the 1 hour mark. And yes, I'm including everyone and on my thought process. I think I've covered enough for this episode, but it's going to take some time to get the items out of the bottom of the Marsh Cave, and I don't want to to cut things too close. So what I'll do is save, literally save, and save our progress, but also save the rest of the Mystic Key related items for the next episode. That way I know that I have plenty of time. Nothing has to feel rushed. And everyone, myself included, can have the best experience possible. You all can experience the best quality episode. And I can rest assured knowing that I am providing the best experience possible. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will catch y'all in the next episode. LP Guru, signing out.